Hey everyone, this topic I'm going to talk about electric vehicles. I was listening to Cathie Wood and she was talking about the S curves, and she was thinking that the adoption of electric vehicles would be very quick, and she was touting all these numbers. And I wanted to give my opinion on electric vehicles. I know it's a little bit different topic. By the way, my name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value, and this is an investment education channel. If you didn't know that. Subscribe if you guys want to be partake in this commodity bull market going up. But electric vehicles, I'm kind of interested. I like cars, and I'm going to give you my opinion on electric vehicles in this presentation. I'll also give you a couple quotes about Cathie Wood and what she thinks. So the adoption. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk about adoption rates and S curves of previous technologies, Cathie Wood's comments and quotes, and then my comments are going to follow. So this is kind of an adoption of something, a new technology or whatever it may be. You've got innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. And where I typically live in this is the late majority and laggard. So if something new comes out, I really don't buy it. I just don't care enough for the most part. And I wait to be a late majority laggard, and I probably buy it used because I'm cheap. And I'll let the other guys figure out if something's good or bad. So I almost never buy it as an early adopter of anything, whether it be tires for a car, a cell phone, all that stuff. I'm more of a late majority and laggard because of the value aspect. And I find more value buying something used from someone else. And this is the S curves that people talk about, just so you guys are aware of it. It's used in a lot of adoption of new technologies. We've got the internet, mobile phone, we've got the PC here, TV is a big S curve, and these make an S. That's kind of why they get their name. And then things that are more expensive and are much larger purchases for people that could be a little bit more, we'll call it harder to buy. They have way larger S curves. Like telephone, maybe not so much, but electricity, automobile, there's some barriers to entry. You can't just throw it. You just can't buy it when with no kind of barrier to entry on some of this stuff. And an automobile is expensive. Electricity, you're going to have to retrofit your house. I mean, it takes time. The other ones on the left-hand side that were quick adopters, they're mainly you don't have it to begin with. You don't need to set up any sort of infrastructure for it. You just buy it and you have it. It's very easy. It's a low barrier to entry to get. You just buy it. An automobile is I think a little bit harder because it's such a large purchase. So this is the regular automobile. It was invented. It took 20 years to really take off. Then they had to invent other things like how do you mass produce automobiles? How do you make it affordable? And then it was a slow adoption even after that. So automobiles, their S curve is super slow. And we're still in the 75, 80% at best for automobiles. So Cathie Wood's opinion, I'll read some quotes here, is the transportation industry is going to shift wholesale to electric, and Tesla is ahead of the pack. Tesla is at a cost advantage over traditional automakers because it produces its own lithium-ion cylindrical batteries, she says. Tesla also collected billions of miles worth of data from its customers, which puts it ahead of the competition on research, she says. A couple more quotes here. So Tesla's riding down the consumer electronics cost curve, which is much, much lower than that of the lithium-ion pouch. They've done an amazing thing from an engineering point of view no one else thought was possible. That puts them way ahead of the game. That's what powers an autonomous vehicle, and that's where we are going. That's what Cathie Wood says. So problems with EV cars, this is my opinion now. I'm gonna kind of go against and be the antagonist here. So lots of people park their cars outside with no location to charge. Do you think they're just going to buy an electric vehicle if there's nowhere to charge it? And quite honestly, a lot of people are pretty lazy. They don't want to wait to charge a vehicle if they can't do it in a garage that they have. The electrical grid can only handle so many cars. At least that's what a lot of articles say. They're saying that the limit's about 24 million cars. We have roughly 276 million cars in the USA. Remember that means we have to build out a bunch of infrastructure, potentially more power generation, and that takes time. It's not very fast. It's going to slow that S curve down. People already have cars. This isn't something that we don't already have. So if an electric car comes out, it doesn't mean people just sell the car they have and they go buy an electric car. They may wait for their car to depreciate or to have problems, to basically get the use out of the car that they already have. I've done some break-even point analysis on a new car versus an old internal combustion engine car, and I will say it takes a very long time to recoup costs if you're trying to do it from a basis of saving money. It's probably going to be about 100 years to save do it from a cost basis on a car that you already own outright versus buying a new $50,000 electric car. They use a lot more costly and hard to get minerals, and perhaps some cannot support the production ramps in terms of minerals. Rare earth metals is kind of what comes to mind, or lithium, nickel. We've got a whole bunch of things that make these batteries or cars, we'll call it better, or have longer range or faster charging. So I think those minerals could potentially be in a shortage. Are EV cars trading the problem of carbon dioxide for a different environmental problem of mining minerals from the earth? That's a question. I don't know the answer. And again, batteries are pretty hazardous, and perhaps we need to recycle a lot of the batteries going forward. Hopefully they have that all ironed out and don't create other environmental problems. From a car dealer's perspective, I was reading some articles from that aspect to see how electrical vehicles were selling. What they said was electrical vehicles are the U.S. auto industry's future if dealers can figure out how to sell them. Doesn't sound like people want them. Car dealers say they are struggling to square the industry's enthusiasm with shoppers' reality. The consumer in the middle of America just isn't there yet. When it comes to switching to electric vehicles, he said, citing the long distances many of his customers drive daily and a lack of charging infrastructure outside of major cities is why they are avoiding them. For EVs to take off, they need to be as convenient as gas-powered cars. That's the whole point of this big picture, is convenience. And I agree. I was touching on a couple of points in my opinion, and why electric cars may not be adopted as quickly as maybe what others think. My thoughts. So the network for charging these cars is too slow, and anyone who doesn't have a garage will not want an electric car. That's basically what I think flat out. Either the range of these cars need to dramatically go up, the charge time needs to dramatically decrease, or the number of charging stations needs to ramp up a lot, or a combination of all those. I think adoption will be incredibly slow if the above doesn't happen. I would think that those with great manufacturing know-how will beat these newer electric vehicle companies. And maybe I don't know enough about the electric vehicles, but I would think Toyota, Volkswagen, Honda, those types of car manufacturers are going to clean up other companies that are newer to the game of manufacturing. So they might know the electronics portion, but maybe not so much the car manufacturer portion, or vice versa. We'll see what happens. And when I was doing this research, here's a couple of cool facts. 25% of people with two-car garages don't park in them at all. That's a lot of people. A survey of realtors reveals that garages ranked higher as a desirable storage space for home buyers than basements or attics. And when it comes to home improvement projects, a new garage door delivers one of the best returns on investment. Just an FYI. So, I don't think electric cars are going to take off yet. Not in the speed that Cathie Wood thinks, and a lot of these other analysts. I think it'll be slow adopting until they fix those problems with charge time, number of charge stations, and the convenience and the range of the batteries. If they fix that, I think it'll be a great idea. If they don't fix it, I think it's going to be a tough place to adopt. And if you have these short ranges, like 200-300 miles, but it takes a half hour to charge up, and even if you were to work on the bottom half of the battery because it's got quicker charge times when you are more towards a fully drained battery, it still takes a lot of time and a lot of charging number of charges to drive cross country. And I think that's going to stop people from making a very large purchase if they can't drive their car cross country very quickly. So that's my opinion. Let me know what your guys' opinion are in the comment section. Love to hear them. Do you think electric cars are going to be easily adopted? Are you going to go buy one? Let me know what you think. I'm probably not going to buy anything because I'm a used car guy from here on out. And used cars are going to be a while for electric cars. Thanks for listening. This is Finding Value.